Tales from Buddhist Suttas. Vātmika Jataka. About the power of taste. The Buddha, when he was in the Jetavana Mahavihara, he gave a speech to Fra Chulapindapatikadisa Thera. So he preached this sermon. There is the beginning word, Nakirathi Rasehi Papayo, as follows. It is said that when the Buddha lived in the city of Rajagaya, residing in the Weluan temple, one day, the son of a wealthy family named Tisakumar went to the Veluvan temple, listened to the sermon of the prophet and wished to be ordained, so he asked for ordination. But his parents still did not allow him, so he was rejected. He fasted for 7 days and then had his parents give him permission. It was as if the Thera government monk had been ordained in the office of the Buddha. The Buddha, when he had ordained that child, residing in the Weluvan temple. About half a month then he went to the Jetavana temple. On that day this nobleman made 13 pilgrimages, going for alms in sequence in the lanes of Savatthi, until time had passed. Everyone called him Fra Chulabindapatikadisa Thera. Has become a well-known figure in Buddhism like the full moon in the sky. At that time, when the public holidays were still going on in Rajagaya, the elder's parents, he put the items of jewelry that he had when the monk was a layman in a silver casket, placed them on his chest, cried, and said that in other public performances, "Our children are adorned with this ornament. Play public holidays." The monk Gautama took our little son to the city of Savatthi. "Now our little son, where do you sit? Where do you stand?" Then a certain woman, Vanasi, went to that family. He saw the rich man's wife crying and asked, "Oh my God, why are you crying?" The rich man's wife then told the story. Mrs. Vanathasa said, "Mother, what does your son love?" The millionaire's wife said love of this and that. Mrs. Vanathasa said, "If you will give me all the supremacy in this house, I will bring your son." The millionaire's wife accepted that he could then give supplies. He sent Vanadesa away with a large attendant, saying, "Go and fetch my son." With their abilities, Mrs. Vanathasri sat in a small, concealed vehicle. To Nakan Savatthi it is considered to be living close to the road where the elder monks travel to bhikkhus. Do not let the elder monk see people from wealthy families. Surrounded only by his own followers, when the elder monk went to receive alms, he offered a ladle of yaku and some delicious food. Bound by the desire for taste from the beginning, then he made them sit in the house and offer alms in order, knowing that the elder was under his power. Therefore it is expressed that had a fever and was lying in the room. The elder monks traveled in order along the alleys. During the time of monks reached the door of the house, the people who were the followers received the monk's alms bowl. Then he invited the elder monk to sit in the house. The elder sat down and asked, "Where did the Upasaka go?" The attendants said, "Venerable sir, the Upasaka has a fever. Desire to see you." The elder monk was addicted to lust. Breaking his rituals, he went to the place where Vanathasa lay. Mrs. Vanathasa knew the reason for coming for herself. So he consoled the elder. Bound by lust for taste, let him wear it and let him be in his own power. Let him sit in the vehicle and go to Nakan Rachaga. With a large family, that news has already appeared. The monks sat together in a meeting in the Dhamma council hall. They talked and said that they had heard that there was a certain woman named Vanathasi, tied with Fra Chulabindapatikadisa Thera with the lust for the taste. He has gone away. The Buddha entered the Dhamma council hall. He sat on the seat he had decorated. Then he asked, "Now, monks, what are you sitting and discussing?" Those monks told the story. The prophet said, "Look, monks, this monk is addicted to the taste of lust. It was under the power of Mrs. Vanathasi. Only now, not even in the past, it was under her power as well." Then he brought a story from the past, saying, "In the past, in the city of Varanasi there was a ruler of King Brahmadatta named Sanchai. At that time a certain meat came to the garden. He saw Mr. Uyanbal, the park's watchman, so he ran away. Mr. Sanchai did not threaten the animal to leave, so the animal often came to visit that park. Mr. Weeabun brought flowers and fruits of various kinds. Came from the park early in the morning. Take it only to the king every day. Then one day the king asked Mr. Weeanbal that, "Look, comrade Weeanban, what miracles do you see in the park?" Mr. Weeabun said that, "I assume the gods, I didn't see anything else, but a wild animal was wandering around in the garden. I have seen this." The king asked, "So you might catch it?" Mr. Weeabun said, "Sir, when I get some honey may bring this delicious meat even within the palace." My lord the king gave honey to Mr. Weeanban. Mr. Weeabun accepted the honey. Then go to the park, secretly spread honey on all the grass. Where the flesh travels, the fat meat comes to eat grass that is made with honey. It is addicted to the taste of lust. It does not go anywhere else. It comes only to the paradise. Mr. Weeabun knows that the oily flesh was stuck to grass that had been smeared with honey. So they showed themselves in order. Mr. Weeabun knows that the oily flesh is familiar. So they took out mats and surrounded the road. Until the palace, then take a broken branch and plant it in that place. Carrying a gourd filled with honey, pinching a handful of grass and scattering the honey-laced grass in front of the meat. Went to the inside of the palace at once when the meat goes inside, so the people closed the door. When they saw the humans, they trembled. Afraid of death, he ran to the inner courtyard inside the palace. The king descended from the castle. When he saw the flesh, he trembled. He said, "Normally, flesh does not go to a place where people see it for 7 days. It does not go to a place where it is threatened for the rest of its life. Oily flesh that lives in the forest. See this. Bound by craving for taste, having come to see something like this, right now, developed people call it something more disgusting than the desire for taste. There certainly isn't any in the world." Then he began to preach sermons. With this mantra, it is said that there is no other thing that is worse than taste. Taste is even worse than the place of residence. Even more than intimacy. Mr. Sanchai Weeabun brought the meat of the saman which lived in the forest. Come to their own power with all the flavors, meaning desire through the power of satisfaction with one's residence, that is, a regular place of residence is good. In intimacy with the power of friendship is good. It is really obscene, but the taste in consumption that is based on passion, that is a worse condition. Even more than residence, even more than friendship, which is consumed with these passions by 100 times, 1,000 times, because the meaning is that it must be consumed only on a regular basis. And because of abstaining from food there is no preservation of organic life. The Bodhisattva made this matter as good as what followed. He then said, hearing that there is no condition worse than all tastes. The taste is worse. Even more than residence, even more than intimacy. Now, the Bodhisattva, when he will express that those flavors are bad. So he spoke words such as Vātmikam as follows. He explained that look at how all tastes are bad. Mr. Sanchai Weeabun brought this name of beef, who lived in the forest, came to his power with the taste of honey. There are no other things that are worse, that is, more obscene, that are said to be worse than all the tastes that are consumed with passion. The Bodhisattva spoke of the punishment of craving in taste. In the following manner, that's when he spoke. So he had the meat sent to the forest. The prophet said, Monks Vantaji tied the monk with lust for flavor. Do it within your power, only now it is not possible. Even in the past it had been done as well. After His Majesty had delivered this sermon to Anasandi, he held a meeting. More than Mr. Sanchai at that time became this Mrs. Wanathasi. At that time, he became Fra Chulabindapatika, a monk. As for King Varanasi, now he is the Tathagata. End of commentary on Vātmika Jataka number 4. Thank you to everyone who has listened to the story in this clip. Please help press like, share, press follow. Press the bell to be notified, including going back and watching the clip again. It will be a blessing and an encouragement to the creators to the utmost. May happiness and prosperity be with you all every day, night, and time.